What's cracking, pro wrestling fans? Welcome to episode 2 of the Hard Way Pro Wrestling Show. I'm your host, Josh Mercer, and if you joined me for episode 1, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you giving up your time to listen to me talk about pro wrestling. I'm a massive fan, of course, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this, but I'm excited to be starting a pro wrestling show that can go on YouTube and, of course, also on Spotify. So make sure you're checking my show out on those two platforms. Obviously, we've had a big couple of days in pro wrestling. We had the Royal Rumble at the weekend, which episode 1 covered. We've also had Raw and also NXT happen over the last couple of days. Yesterday here in Australia and for WWE Raw, and of course today for NXT. So let's have a look at the NXT results first. This was a pretty enjoyable show. Of course, at the beginning, you had Shawn Michaels inviting Robert Stone into his office to let him know that he is the new interim general manager of NXT. Of course, no doubt you would have seen a few days ago that The Rock's daughter, Ava Raine, has left the company. We're not sure. She didn't really say what she's going to be doing next. We're not really sure. Dave Meltzer, who has speculated that she may go work for The Rock and, of course, his ex-wife. They've got a studio together called $7 Studio, so she may go work there, but who knows? There's been a couple of wrestlers who have not renewed their contracts and have gone off to pursue other things or try and seek deals elsewhere. So Ava, we wish her all the best in her future endeavors, of course. So maybe one day she comes back, maybe she won't. We'll wait and see how life pans out for her. But overall, this was a pretty enjoyable show. Obviously, you had Izzy Dame defending her North American Championship against Thea Hale and Lola Vice in a triple threat match. I was very impressed with Lola Vice on the weekend. Of course, she took part in the Royal Rumble. I was pretty happy with her performance. I like her as a wrestler, and I think she should have actually got the win here. But Izzy Dame was able to retain over both Thea Hale and Lola Vice. Of course, you would have noticed that Kalani Jordan, who was also on the Rumble, actually came out and attacked Lola Vice. She slammed a ladder on her hand, pretty much saying later on when Kelly Kincaid caught up with her, the backstage announcer or reporter, or interviewer, I think they call him in WWE. Kelly asked why she did it, and then Kalani Jordan pretty much said that she wonders how Vice is going to be able to knock her out when she broke her hand. But I'd like to remind Kalani Jordan that she does have 2 hands, and maybe she could knock you out with the other one. But obviously, that's obviously going to play a part in their feud, the breaking of the hand. I doubt Lola might wear a cast next week. We'll wait and see. That's a bit of a timeless sort of thing in pro wrestling. Pro wrestlers wearing casts. Of course, I remember in the 90s when Owen Hart wore a cast on his supposedly broken wrist or hand that he'd knock his opponent out with to score the win. I remember also, I'm pretty sure The Rock, when he broke his arm too, had a massive cast on his arm that sort of only covered up his forearm, up from there. If you can see my arm, covered from there up. But you know how casts sometimes go around the hand too? This one didn't, so that was a pretty interesting call, but I don't think he used that to his advantage, but I also don't think his arm was really broken. So, yeah, it's the timeless tale. Will they do it here? I don't think so. They may not, but, you can't count anything out. But obviously, Lola Vice will be feuding with Kalani Jordan moving forward. Of course, I would have liked to have seen Lola Vice win this title. As much as would love to see her win the NXT Women's Championship. I think I would prefer her to win the North American Championship first. But Izzy Dame ended up coming out of this pretty strong, I feel. Obviously, Thea Hale, she's a little pocket rocket. I love Thea. I think she's her character's great, and she's just so expressive with her face and everything. I'm pretty sure there was one point where she actually went out to the North American Championship on the stand there and actually looked like she was biting it. I thought that was hilarious. So, yeah, but Thea Hale obviously beat Blake Monroe by accident a little while back. From all reports, that wasn't supposed to happen, but it did. It was the referee's fault. It was this, that, and the other. But, she... pretty sure what they teach all referees is that you count the three no matter what if they don't get the shoulder up. So I guess, you just roll with the punches. But Thea ended up losing the title later on. Izzy Dame is the champion now, and she retained, which was great. She looked pretty strong here with the finish because Thea was trying to get her in the Kimura lock, and she was able to drop her on the rope and get the powerbomb for the win. But like I said, I'm hoping... I don't think it's going to happen straight away because obviously Lola's going to be feuding with Kalani Jordan. So I believe... But I believe that, will be happening. But I'm hoping that Lola Vice does become the Women's North American Champion at some stage. The next match, of course, was for a number one contenders tournament for the Speed Championship. I'm a little bit surprised that they moved the Speed title over to NXT. I'm wondering if this is going to go the way of the Cruiserweight Championship. Like, they had 205 Live, obviously. They moved that over to NXT, and I believe that was absorbed into the North American title, I think, maybe, when Roderick Strong won it. But it was absorbed into another title and taken off. So I know both the men's and women's speed titles are on, of course, NXT now. So we saw Fallon Henley with the women's speed title, but we'll wait and see how that pans out. Ilya Lafleur, I was pretty impressed with. I like Charlie Dempsey. I think he's a great wrestler. Obviously, he's got that pedigree in him. Or a great technical pedigree in him, of course. But they obviously wanted Lafleur to get the win here and go on to the next round. So he got the win in the dying moments, which is... I always wondered how they'd try... I did watch Speed when it was on X, and I did enjoy the sort of fast pace and, wrestlers scrambling to get the win in 3 minutes. So it's good to see that they, used 3 minutes pretty well. And waited right till the end to get the win because it builds that anticipation. You're sort of like, come on, there's 20 seconds. You got to get the win. So, yeah, but I don't think the future of the Speed Championship is going to be... Well, let me say it this way. I'll be surprised if it lasts a year. If it does, I'm wrong. And I'll admit I'm wrong. But, yeah, that's yet to be seen. But I'll be surprised if it lasts a year. Moving on to the next match, of course, you had Sol Ruka and Zarya, better known as Zaruka, take on the TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Champions, Heather and M by Elegance. Of course, they are part of the Elegance brand over on TNA, led by Ash by Elegance, who, of course, is the former Dana Brooke from WWE. And you've got their manager there. I can't remember his name. But for anyone that is an MMA fan, with his little thick rimmed glasses, he reminds me of a guy called The Schmo. The Schmo is a MMA journalist. Go, if you're curious, look him up. He's a very unique character. So, anyway... This, obviously, the seeds were planted of doubt between Zarya and Sol Ruka when Sol Ruka was talking to Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray. They were talking about how well she did in the Rumble, of course, competed in the Rumble and eliminated JC Jane. And from all reports, the higher-ups were very impressed with her. So, of course, they sort of sowed a little bit of a storyline in here where Zarya was upset that she took off to Saudi Arabia to take part in the Rumble suddenly. So, Zarya is feeling like we've got the spurned tag team partner storyline going on here. Zarya feels like Sol Ruka is getting all the chances and she's not getting any. Of course, Zarya is an Australian pro wrestler, so I'm a big fan of hers, and I'll continue to watch her career grow in the WWE. But I am like the higher ups at WWE, and I am really impressed by Sol Ruka. So obviously here they didn't win the TNA Knockouts titles because I don't think another title was going to move over to WWE. Of course, Stax has the international title, but Sol Ruka, I believe they want her for a title run. And I know some people are saying that she wouldn't look out of place on the main roster. And that is very true. I'd like to see her on the main roster. But I think they would want her to have an NXT title run before she heads up on the main roster. Well, I'd want that anyway. Not many people. There's been a few people. Actually, I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who haven't had an NXT title run and gone up to the main roster. Javon Evans has done it recently, but I can't. Right now, I'm drawing a blank as to who else would come to mind about that. But guys, prove me wrong or re-jog my memory in the comments if you like. But I do believe that they will be angling for Sol Ruka fighting for the NXT title. I'll get to how that's going to eventuate in a second. Before moving on to the next match too, I'm going to talk about Tony D'Angelo. Obviously, he made his comeback recently tonight. He's no longer the Don of NXT. He's shed that Italian persona. That sort of mafioso type persona. Obviously not with Stax or anyone anymore. He's the lone wolf. Obviously he's not going by that, but he is a much darker character right now. Much more focused character. He came out and he called out Dark State. And I really like storylines in pro wrestling where you've got one guy going up against a faction. Some people might not believe it's believable, but we don't come to wrestling for believability. If you want believable, go watch MMA like I do as well. But, you know, again, I like wrestling because anything can happen and what you don't expect happens. Does happen as well. But I think the whole lone wolf persona where, you know, you've got one guy going up against a group, sort of go back to the 90s when Sting went from Surfer Sting to the Crow Sting and, you know, was up against the NWO. So that's sort of where that sort of stems from for me. You know, you're one guy, and I always go for the underdog. That's just in my nature because I've always felt like the underdog myself. But Tony D'Angelo, he's called out Dark State. He's looking forward to taking them out. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that storyline, of course, unfolds and whether anyone else comes into it too. But I think that would be a mistake. I think you need to have Tony D'Angelo try and take them out one by one. That's how I believe it should work anyway. Moving on to the next match. Of course, here they've got it wrong. I'm looking at, I believe this is this post wrestling? Post wrestling, one of a good site to go and read. I enjoy going to the site for results and that sort of thing. Fortunately, they've got it wrong here. They've got Lexis King and Stax defeating Carl Dixon and Andre Chase. He actually went up against, it was actually Carl Dixon and Uriah Connors. Of course, Lexis King and Stax got the win, which sort of Uriah Connors wasn't happy about. He didn't stick around with Chase U. So he actually followed, I noticed in their communal kitchen thing, that's another part of NXT that I really like, the whole communal kitchen thing that they've got going on there, making it feel like a proper sort of campus and type thing there in Orlando for NXT. They all get together in the kitchen and have a chat, and it's like it's not only in the locker room that you go, you've got the communal kitchen as well. So yeah, but I noticed that Uriah Connors followed Lexis King and Stax and Ariana Grace in the back there as well. So we'll see what happens with, of course, Uriah Connors doing that and where that story leads. Moving on to the main event of the... Actually, no. Before we get to the main event, I need to talk about Jacy Jayne coming out and talking about, how well she did in the Rumble. So, of course, she was another NXT star in the Rumble. If you... Actually, you probably wouldn't have seen my old website. I wrote on one of my old websites, which was called GameOnOz.com, that I was over the moon that Jacy Jayne finally won the NXT Women's Championship. I've always been a big fan of hers ever since her Toxic Attraction days. I felt like she was going to be a standout, and I was a little bit worried about why WWE were holding out on her when she's obviously very talented. Of course, now she is a two-time NXT champion. So she talked about how well she did in the Rumble, which I agree with. All the NXT women did well in the Rumble. Of course, as she was dumped out by Sol Ruka, and she called out Sol Ruka. Of course, Zarya came out instead and said that Sol Ruka's got enough, has had enough chances as her time now. Obviously, we saw in their title match the seeds of a breakup were happening there. But yeah, she came out wanting the shot, and Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray came out to say that Zarya didn't deserve a shot, so it should be one of them as well. And then, of course, Sol Ruka came out and said that everyone needs to chill, and of course, she wants a shot at the title since Jacy was the one that Jacy called out originally, but I get what they're doing, which is good. So, So Robert Stone came out and said he made a match that Sol Ruka and Zarya, or Zaruka, will be taking on Ren Sinclair and Kendall Gray. I think they're called Ren CC, which is kind of cool. I like that a lot. They will be taking each other on in a tag match. And whoever gets the pin will be the number one contender for Jacy Jayne's NXT Championship. I think that's a unique way of doing it. I think that's going to get Sol Ruka and Zarya, having the little fights again. Like in this match, in the Knockouts tag title match, they actually wouldn't tag each other. They would, wasn't the traditional tag. If one of them got close enough to each other, they would tag each other in, that sort of thing. So, yeah, this is going to be really interesting, and we'll see if Zarya goes, Sol Ruka goes to the pin on Sinclair or Gray. I think we might see Zarya come in and break up the pin on her own tag team partner. Of course, they're at some stage going to split up, because I'm pretty sure WWE want Sol Ruka as the NXT champion before she moves up to the main roster. That's just my thoughts there. Of course, you can tell me what you think in the comments as well. Moving on to the main event, of course, Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry like we all do. Defeated Ricky Saint, Sean Legacy, Jackson Drake, Dion Lennox, Keanu Carver, and Shiloh Hill for the NXT Championship. And, of course, this was a fun little match. I really liked it. I always like ladder matches ever since, back in the days of Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. I remember my very first ladder match I watched was on an old school WWE, then known as WWF, VHS videotape called Schmack 'em Whack 'em, and you had Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart in their first ever ladder match there. Of course, Razor Ramon and Shawn would go on to make the famous. But just a little bit of history for those that may not know or have not looked it up before. It was actually Bret Hart's dad's wrestling company, Stampede Wrestling, where they had ladder matches, and Bret was the one to bring it over to the WWE and introduce it to Vince McMahon. And that match between Shawn and Bret was the sort of the testing ground for it. And of course, later on, it went to Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon at WrestleMania 10, and the rest is history. We've got Money in the Banks ladder matches. We've got ladder matches for titles. One that everyone loves, of course, is the triangle ladder matches in the Attitude Era between the Dudleys, the Hardys, and of course Edge and Christian. Anyway, back to, sorry, I got a bit off track there, but back to the main event. I was not expecting Joe to win. I should have been, though. I was actually expecting Ricky Saints to get the title. Obviously, the need for a ladder match happened because Obafemi, he vacated the title so he could go up to the main roster. I'll be talking about Obafemi a little bit later. But Joe Hendry getting the win, a much-deserved win. Joe's just great. The whole, I believe, hasn't run out. He's doing so great in NXT. I'm really happy for the man, actually. This match was a really good showcase of different talent. I was really impressed with all these wrestlers. Keanu Carver, they're making into a monster. He looked good. You also had Shiloh Hill from LFG, the Legends and Future Greats reality show that had The Undertaker and Bubba Ray Dudley and, of course, Mickey James at one stage, and now has The Undertaker's wife, Michelle McCool, on it and that sort of thing. So Shiloh Hill was on that. Of course, Dion Lennox from Dark State, Jackson Drake, and Sean Legacy were all in it. I was impressed particularly with... So I won't say I was impressed with all of them because they all showed me a little something. But Keanu Carver, they're making into a monster. Oh, not an Obafemi type monster, but they're making him look very strong from the get-go. Shiloh Hill, I love the little taking out the false tooth or teeth and just slamming it on the ground. I love the old, that was just crazy. I love that. But I think a lot of these guys are going to be, elevating NXT over 2026, and I think it's going to be great to see. But we'll wait. It'll be interesting to see how over the course of the year how these guys go on possibly getting taken up to the main roster. But I'm probably getting a bit ahead of myself there. But Joe Hendry is your NXT champion. Overall, it was a very enjoyable show. I give it about a 7 out of 10. The two matches I liked the most were, of course, the North American triple threat match and the ladder match. I didn't really hate any matches. I'm not a big fan of the speed title being on there, but it's something different and it's not on X anymore, so that's okay, I guess. But yeah, otherwise, I think you can do without it, but they want to keep the titles. I want to keep the titles, but we'll wait and see. Again, I don't think they're going to last a year. So my rating for NXT was a 7 out of 10. Moving on to Raw now. And obviously it was the first Raw after the Royal Rumble. We're now on the road to WrestleMania. I'll get to the winner of the Rumble later because he was on this show. Both the winners were on this show, of course. But Bron Breakker, after what we saw happen to him in the Rumble, he was attacked by a masked man. A bit of speculation going around that it may be Seth Rollins. One person actually said Finn Balor. The only way that would have made sense that it was Finn Balor would have been the fact that Finn Balor actually took Bron Breakker's spot in the Rumble because Finn was not in the Rumble himself. Instead, after getting beaten down and stomped by the masked man, Bron got in the ring and was just clotheslined back over by Obafemi. I also think this was done, obviously, to, not have their two biggest stars. Obviously, they're aiming for Obafemi to be a massive star, and Bron Breakker's well on his way too. They obviously don't want that match to sort of happen right then and there. And obviously they're furthering some sort of storyline with the Vision as well. I know a few people are probably annoyed with the whole masked man shtick Sit tight, it'll be over soon, I'm guessing. But I think it's Seth. Personally, I think it's Seth. If you disagree, let me know. But Bron was not happy. He came out, turned the commentators, the commentary table over around. He called out Adam Pearce, The Vision, and Paul Heyman came out to try and calm the man down. And then, of course, the man he was looking for, Adam Pearce, came out with a wall of security protecting him. Then we got LA Knight was music hit. And we were expecting him to come out down the ramp. Of course, you had Logan Paul, Austin Theory in the ring. You had Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker outside the ring with Paul Heyman. And LA Knight instead came for the crowd and attacked Paul and Theory with the chair and then ran off into the crowd again. So that was... I'm really happy that they're... turning this storyline over. Obviously, LA Knight eliminated. I don't know if it was all. I think it was all three members of the Vision. The only one he didn't eliminate, of course, was Bron Breakker, but that was over Femi. But yeah, so this storyline is going to be good. If you noticed, you probably would have noticed that, of course, LA Knight was wearing a shirt that says Unchosen on it. So a little bit of explainer on that. I think that has to do with what happened on season 2 of the documentary show Unreal, which is on Netflix. Of course, we've all seen that. We've seen many scenes from that show. People cut them up and chuck them on social media, but one in particular has Triple H telling LA Knight that there was a spot meant for him in the Money in the Bank ladder match from last year that he was meant to take with both hands. Of course, he did not win the Money in the Bank ladder match. So, yeah, it was... Yeah, and of course, you've got LA Knight sitting there looking frustrated and a bit forlorn as well. But the shirt, the Unchosen shirt, I have a feeling, because the UN on Unchosen kind of looks like the UN from Unreal. So I think they're playing into that a bit, of course, saying that, he's not the chosen one or he's unchosen. Of course, I'm starting to wonder if they're actually, if this is a bit of a they planted the seeds in the show for this to happen down the line. I could be wrong though, because I find it strange that you would, have what Triple H said to LA Knight on camera, and then you'd have your own merchandise as being like a shirt that says Unchosen. I feel like that's a bit weird. So I feel like LA Knight was a little bit in on something. Of course, I could be wrong, but we'll wait and see how that plays out. But I know if I was LA Knight, I would not be wearing a shirt that said Unchosen on it, especially after that. So, yeah. Moving on. Javon Evans, the young OG, taking on El Grande Americano, and obviously not the original El Grande Americano, because he returned at the Royal Rumble, so we've got two Americanos, kind of like that Spider-Man meme where they point at each other like, but yeah, anyway, Javon Evans, very impressive. I've always liked the aerial acrobatic pro wrestlers. A little bit jealous of them as well, because I wish I could do half the stuff they do. I can't even do a backflip. I used to be able to do a 450 splash, but I don't think I can do one anymore because I'm not as athletic as I once was. But I'm getting off topic now. So Javon Evans getting the win over El Grande Americano, because OG Americano came out for the distraction. And of course you had Grande and I think it's Rio and Bravo Americano as part of the faction there of El Grande Americano, who I believe are Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. And of course, back when, we all know that Ludwig Kaiser is, of course, this version of El Grande Americano. He took over it when, of course, Chad Gable was off injured. Chad Gable is now back. So, yeah, we've got the original, as it says on his entrance theme, El Grande Americano. So they're obviously gonna do something here. I reckon the Creed brothers are going to be involved somehow. Obviously, Chad Gable was affiliated with the Creed brothers before his injury. So, no doubt we'll see the six-man tag at some stage between the Americanos and, of course, the Creed brothers and OG El Grande Americano. How I think they should finish this match off, or this feud off, is in a mask versus mask match. Obviously, that used to be the ultimate sort of humiliation in Lucha Libre wrestling. Winning, but also the honor for the wrestler who won it is, winning the other wrestler's mask. Obviously, these two are not luchadors, despite portraying them. But I reckon the best way to end this feud would be definitely in a mask versus mask match. I did think maybe career versus career match, and you can have the loser, retiring and then showing up as, either Chad Gable or Ludwig Kaiser. But you can't do that really at the moment because Gunther is the career killer, and that will sort of wreck that sort of side of it. So I reckon the only way to move forward for this feud is a mask versus mask match. Moving on, and speaking of Gunther, the career killer himself did some absolute diabolical trolling of the crowd, coming out to AJ Styles' music. Oh, the man is in his element as a heel. I'm loving it. It doesn't get any better than Gunther as a heel right now. And he loves the booze and he eats it up and he just doesn't care. It doesn't hurt his feelings and it's good. It's like MJF being an old school heel himself. So I'm just enjoying this whole thing with Gunther. Obviously, I'm not happy that he ended AJ's career. I would have loved to have seen a year-long run from AJ and him winning a title. But according to Triple H, on the Royal Rumble after show, of course, AJ said he was done, so he's done, unfortunately. So, yeah. But, all the love to AJ Styles. We miss you. We're going to miss you. But Dragon Lee had enough after hearing Gunther's promo and came out to attack him. Of course, he ended up getting put in the sleeper hold. I'm pretty sure they're just going with sleeper hold now. They're not going with rear naked choke. Of course, it is a sleeper and rear naked choke. It's the same thing. Put you to sleep. It's just it was called a sleeper hold in pro wrestling or catch wrestling back in the day. So, I'm happy with it going back to being a sleeper. That doesn't upset me anymore. Of course, it has its place in both in pro wrestling and of course in mixed martial arts and Brazilian jiu-jitsu. I like it as a finishing move. It reminds me of the old days when Rowdy Roddy Piper used to use it. So I'm glad Gunther's brought it back. But obviously moving forward, these two are going to feud. There's not really anyone's career winding down at the moment that Gunther could be another career killer. Randy Orton's probably the next closest one. But he hasn't decided when he's going to leave the business yet. Obviously, we're never going to get the Brock Lesnar Gunther match that we were once hoping for at WrestleMania. So Dragon Lee and Gunther's going to be the next feud for these two wrestlers there. Obviously, the reason why Dragon Lee came out after hearing Gunther talk crap about AJ Styles was that AJ's last title run was the tag team titles with Dragon Lee. So, yeah, but this put Dragon Lee out of commission for the night too. Moving on, Obafemi, the man they are building to be a monster of all monsters. He took out the War Raiders, and the War Raiders are not small men. Of course, they made it out like this wasn't a sanctioned match. Well, it wasn't a match. The War Raiders, commentary said that the War Raiders were actually going to be facing another tag team. They never said who that tag team was. So Obafemi just came out and destroyed them. Obviously, they just made Oba look really strong and just hurt the War Raiders. I don't know what this means for the Raw Raiders. Hopefully this doesn't affect them in trying to chase tag team titles. I actually like them as a tag team, but we'll wait and see how this all pans out. But Femi, I have a feeling, because he's not officially signed to Raw or SmackDown yet, I have a feeling he's going to show up on SmackDown this week and he's going to do the same sort of thing to a tag team there. Obviously, he can't do it to MFT or the White Six because one is the tag team champions, one is the former tag team champions, and they're going to be feuding still. So you don't want to wreck either of them unless he comes out and just wrecks all of them, which I could see happening too. But I still think he's going to show up and wreck someone. No doubt if Pretty Deadly was still together, he'd come out and wreck them. Obviously, only Kit Wilson is over there at the moment doing his thing. Everybody's loving his entrance theme, which is pretty cool. But Obafemi, that's my prediction for SmackDown this week. He will show up, Obafemi will show up and wreck someone as well on SmackDown. And then it'll be a scramble between Nick Aldis and Adam Pearce to try and sign him on one of the brands. So let's watch how that plays out because he is just going to wreck people and wreck people and wreck people. Moving on to the Bella Twins. Of course, Brie made her return at the Rumble. She was back on Raw for the first time, I think it was 7 or so years. They made their intentions known that they're going after the women's tag team champions and taking on Rhea Ripley, or want to take on Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. I think this is a good move. Obviously, Nikki wasn't successful in unseating Stephanie Vaquer. If you want to put I don't see anything wrong with putting the tag titles on the Bella Twins. It's good to have them back. It's a little bit of nostalgia for everyone involved. And, you know, when Brie Bella's doing the kicks, we're going to get the yes chant again like we did in the Rumble. So, yeah. There was at one point when I know I did, Nikki Bella definitely did, thought the crowd was booing them. They were actually saying Coop from what they said because Nikki Bella is dating this man over here, Cooper DeJean. He is a cornerback of the Philadelphia Eagles. Of course, Raw was in Philadelphia on Monday night or Tuesday when it was shown in Australia. Obviously, Nikki Bella had that really bad breakup with her husband and the father of her child. But she's fallen in love with this young man here. And when I say young, I think there's a 20-year age gap between them. She's 42. He's 22. I believe the Bellas are about my age. They were born in 1984. So, yeah, but good on both of them. I'm glad to see Nikki back out there. You know, being that I'm pretty sure they're Philadelphia Eagles fans anyway, dating one of the players. So, yeah. Anyway, off topic a little bit, but I think it's a good thing to have the Bella Twins go after the tag team titles. So, it depends on what they want to do with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley moving forward as well. If you want to keep them together or do you want to split them up? I think you should split them up. I still think there's plenty of other single stuff you could do with Io Sky and Rhea Ripley. I personally would like to see Rhea over on SmackDown and having a feud with Jade Cargill. I love both women. Obviously, I lean towards Rhea Ripley a little bit more because she's Australian, but I am a big fan of both her and Jade Cargill. But that may not happen because I have a feeling that at some stage, even though she didn't come back at the Rumble, that Bianca Belair is going to come back at some stage and face Jade as well, maybe possibly unseat Jade. Moving on, you had Penta and Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed actually lost this by countout. Of course, you see there, you've got LA Knight hitting a BFT outside the ring. So Penta didn't have any backup. Of course, they commentary made a note. Michael Cole made a note to say that, of course, Dragon Lee was taken out by Gunther earlier in the night, and Rey Mysterio wasn't in attendance. So you had Penta by himself going up against the Vision. So before the match happened, you had Adam Pearce convinced Bron Breakker that LA Knight had left the building. Paul Heyman had obviously asked Adam Pearce to set up a match between Knight and Bron Breakker. Pearce had pretty much said that he'd left when he hadn't. And he came out and interfered in the match, hitting Bronson Reed with a BFT on the outside, on a steel chair on the outside of the ring, and then ran off. Got chased off by Logan Paul and Austin Theory. And of course, with those guys not there, Bronson Reed could not make it back to the ring, so Penta got the win by countout, which I'm not upset with, even though my man, Big Bronson Reed, is Australian. And I'm really loving the nickname they've given him too, Ozilla. I like that. I think that's going to be that's going to stick around for a bit. I think they should. Well, obviously they're going to have some merchandise come out with it, so I'll try and be the first one to buy it. So, yeah. But that was the count out win for Penta there. I've been a little bit disappointed with how Penta has been portrayed over the last few months. Obviously, he came in with plenty of raps. I have obviously watched him in AEW. I've watched his old clips in Lucha Underground and stuff like that. I am a big fan of Penta's. I'm a big fan of a lot of Lucha Libre wrestlers. But Penta, I was very excited that he was coming over into the WWE. So I've been a bit disappointed. I'm hoping he'd have a title by now, but hopefully he has one soon, and it's not just a tag team title. But we'll see where this goes. Obviously, LA Knight and the Vision are going to continue feuding. Moving on now, you had the Philadelphia Street Fight between, it was before we get to Stephanie Vaquer and Raquel Rodriguez. Liv Morgan came out. She was Dominic. Well, first up, you had Dominic Mysterio come out, introduce Liv, who of course won the Women's Royal Rumble. Then you had Liv Morgan introduce Raquel Rodriguez. So Morgan actually did not make her pick as to who she was going to face on Monday's Raw. So no doubt. Oh, she said she might show up to SmackDown this week, but I don't think she's going to choose Jade Cargill. She's definitely going to go for Stephanie Vaquer and try and win another Women's Heavyweight Championship. Of course, there was a little bit of a question mark from Raquel Rodriguez when she wanted to know why Liv Morgan threw out in the Rumble. If you don't remember that, of course, Raquel Rodriguez was one of the final four in the Rumble, and she was dumped out by her friend Liv Morgan. Morgan's excuse, and I think this is kind of clever, was that, Rodriguez is not selfish. She's got her title shot on Raw, so now Morgan has a title shot in WrestleMania, so they both had title shots. So everybody wins. Yay. I was hoping what they would do, even though it was a very long shot because the WWE absolutely loves Stephanie Vaquer, I was hoping they were going to actually have Raquel win the title and then have Liv and Raquel wrestle, face each other at WrestleMania and have the Judgment Day break up from that. Obviously, that didn't happen because Vaquer got the win. It was a Philadelphia Street Fight or Philly Street Fight. Weapons and tables and everything everywhere. And, of course, you had Judgment Day, mainly Morgan and Roxanne Perez, who I'm a big fan of Perez as well, actually. The Prodigy, as she's known. She's a good wrestler. So, but yeah, it was a tough match. I am dying, and I know I've said there's been a few people I'd like to see win titles, but I am dying for Rodriguez to win a title. Honestly, I really am. She was NXT champion. She's won the tag team champions since coming up. I don't think you give her the Intercontinental title. Obviously, you've got Natty, Maxine Dupree, and Becky Lynch going for the Women's Intercontinental title. You could put the Intercontinental strap on Rodriguez, but I'd prefer her to have the women's world title personally. That's what I'd do if I was a writer or booker on for the WWE. Maybe one day. No, I'm too old for that. I don't think I'll ever get there. So, but Stephanie Vaquer will no doubt face Liv Morgan at WrestleMania this year. Moving on to the final segment of the night, the winner of the Men's Royal Rumble, Roman Reigns, came out and made his decision. I had a feeling it was going to be he was going to choose CM Punk. We all know what's happening on SmackDown at the moment. You've got Jacob Fatu, Cody Rhodes, and champion Drew McIntyre all fighting over the undisputed WWE Championship. I'm leaning towards WWE doing a triple threat match at WrestleMania between those three. I'm hoping they put Jacob over in that one. No offense to Cody. I love Cody Rhodes. I always will. But it's always good to have a little bit of a break from him having the Undisputed Championship. And who knows, I'd like to see him win it later in the year anyway. So, yeah. But Jacob Fatu's got to be the guy that beats Drew. He just has to be. Drew could weasel his way out of it. It's WrestleMania. Surprise us a little bit. But I think if you're going to go all in with Jacob, you need to do it now. And you need to do it at WrestleMania. But anyway, that's something we can talk about after watching SmackDown this week. But obviously you had Roman Reigns. He was sort of saying he's getting the crowd's reaction over who he should choose. Crowd cheered for CM Punk. Punk then comes out, and before he says anything to Roman, and I love this, it was a nice little swerve, he walked over to the camera and addressed Finn Balor. Of course, Balor attacked Punk the week before in Punk's match with AJ Styles, and earlier in the night he also had a bit of a little bit of a segment where he called out Punk as well. I think they're going to have Punk and Finn Balor face off at the Elimination Chamber. I could be wrong though. They may do it at a Raw, but I think they should do it at Elimination Chamber. I think Finn should be a world champion at some stage, whether it's the World Heavyweight or the Undisputed. He's waited long enough. We all saw what happened to him after he won the Universal title years ago. Injury, he had to hand it over. He hasn't been back to the top of the mountain since. I think it's about time that you send Finn Balor back to the top of the mountain. He needs to win the championship this year. One of those two championships. No more Intercontinentals, no more tag teams. I think he should be done with that. I think he needs to be either a World Heavyweight or WWE Undisputed Champion. I've got that out of the way. I don't think he's going to win it anytime soon, though, because I have a feeling that Punk will lose to Roman Reigns, and I'll be happy to see Roman go after the World Heavyweight Championship. I think it's a nice little touch. It's something different. And like I said, it doesn't interrupt the title picture, which is unfolding over on SmackDown. I really like the promo both men delivered. They both spat venom. And Roman coming out with that, I hate you, that's why I chose you, was just great. So I think this is going to be a match that's going to, obviously it's going to main event. I know he main evented, like they main evented the night one last year in the triple threat match. It is a main event, but it's not a proper main event with a title on the line. This is Punk. This WrestleMania is Punk's proper WrestleMania main event. He's finally got it. Will he lose? All signs for me are pointing to Roman winning, but we don't know what can happen. So that's the beauty of watching pro wrestling. That's WWE Raw for this week. I'm going to give it a better score than what I scored NXT. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I think that there were some good matches there. The hate for Gunther can be felt through the crowd. There was seeds planted, and obviously the World Heavyweight Championship between these two, CM Punk and Roman Reigns. Of course, you had the street fight, which was good, but also Javon Evans, Obafemi destroying people, and of course OG Americano coming out. And I'm looking forward to seeing the one-man wrecking crew himself, LA Knight, going up against the Vision. So I'm going to end the show there. Wrestling fans, thank you for taking the time to listen to me, whether you're watching on YouTube or on Spotify. Let me know what you like about the show, don't like about the show in the comments. Subscribe to YouTube here on YouTube. Also subscribe on Spotify. And if you get the need, hit me up on social media about what you want me to talk about, what you want to see, and that sort of thing. Obviously, I'm new into this, even though I've been doing an MMA YouTube show for a little bit. The pro wrestling one's new to me. It's something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm very happy that I'm finally branching out and doing it. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to moving forward, talking with the pro wrestling community, and having you let me know what you want to see. I will be back later in the week for another episode. I'm going to try and do it around about Friday or Saturday. Obviously, I'm not going to just be doing WWE stuff. I'll be doing AEW stuff as well. I'll watch Dynamite. I'll watch Collision. So I will be doing it all. I'll try my best to do Ring of Honor as well. But that is it for me. Like I said, like, subscribe, follow. Tell me what you want to see, what you don't want to see, and how I can improve the show. But wrestling fans, until next time, take care.